Oh, this guy is one of my least favorite bosses, and it's not necessarily that he's very difficult, it's just he's a bit of a tricksy bastard, and he's very hard to pin down. On top of that, I don't like bosses that give you serious status effects like poisoning and whatnot. Today it is the Blood-Starved Beast. He is an optional boss who is encountered at the end of Old Yarnum, and you need to beat him if you want to be able to gain access to the Chalice dungeons, which is probably one of the best ways to get really good blood gems, so he's kind of a must-beat, unfortunately. Let's get into him. This fella is erratic, but there are a few ways of getting around him. For starters, the name Bloodstarved is kind of important to him because blood cocktails, pungent blood cocktails, if you chuck them, he will actually go to where you threw them. So it's a very good way of distracting him if you're in a bind, or if you want to get a cheeky power attack in behind him to get a visceral attack in. With the pungent blood cocktails, he'll walk towards and attack wherever you throw them. So it's quite a helpful little strategy to do. On top of that, like a lot of beasts, he's not very strong against fire, and serrated weapons seem to be quite effective as well. So yeah, that is quite helpful. Like I said at the beginning, this guy inflicts a lot of poison. After his first phase, most of his swipes will inflict poison. He starts spewing poison in his later phases, and he gains some pretty nasty moves. A lot of them, he has a lot of quick swipes and whatnot. He's very much about getting across the battlefield really quickly with a lot of quick swipes that are designed to pin you, and then not necessarily they finish you off, but let the poison finish you off. So he's viscerable. He is viscerable as well, but it's a bit tricky because obviously his moves are so quick. Let's start off with phase 1. Phase 1, he does a few cleave attacks, he does a few quick swipes, but there's nothing too special about him. He just kind of ponders slowly towards you, and he's really susceptible to the pungent blood cocktails here because he wanders over towards them rather than swiping towards them. Once you got him down to about 2/3 of his hit points, that's when he goes into phase 2, and he'll scream, spew a bit of poison, and then he becomes a lot faster. His pungent blood cocktail strategy works a lot less effectively because he just swipes over to them rather than, you know, walking towards them slowly, so it's less effective. But on top of that, he also gains a few new moves. Most of his attacks gain poison as well, but it's pretty much the majority of the same moveset, but he also gains a couple nasty ones. My least favourite one is, if he looks like he's standing still for a second, back up as fast as possible. Just keep backing up because he will grab hold of you, and it's a very nasty lunge grab attack where he basically spews poison in your face, and if you haven't got a high enough vitality, if it doesn't one-shot you, the moment you get back up, your health will hit 0. So just be aware of that move. Like I say, whenever he looks like he's standing stock still in front of you, just back up. Do not give him the chance to grab a hold of you, because that move, if you haven't got a high vitality or a good poison resistance, it can one-shot you, or effectively one-shot you if you don't have the time to get an antidote down your gullet. Once you manage to get him down, though, successfully to about 1/3 of his hit points left, that's when he basically starts spewing out poison constantly. He'll kind of stand still, stagger about a bit. Do not go in for an attack at all, because he will just summon out a big cloud of poison. If you're right next to him when he does it, you are instantly afflicted with it, and you're knocked back with a decent little chunk of damage out of your health. He's not worth getting greedy when he does that. Back off, maybe get a few pot shots of your pistol just to whittle his health down slightly, just to give him that little less health, and just avoid a lot of his attacks. Also, try to take the battle as far away from that poison cloud that he's created as possible, because whilst it might not be visible, the effect does linger, so it's better to not fight in the poison where he has the home advantage. But on top of this, not only is he's just as aggressive as before, but a lot of his attacks will do extra poison into you, so the poison will stack up a lot faster. If he manages to hit you with a 1-2 punch, you will get poisoned. And on top of that, he leaves a trail of poison pretty much wherever he goes. So it's a matter of managing how willing you are to stay close to him. Otherwise, you will just wind up getting yourself poisoned. Now, if you're like me, and your later level characters have got a high poison resistance due to the high endurance, it's less of a problem. But try getting sneaky pistol shots at him during some of his combos. You'd be surprised how much you'll stagger him with it, and you can do a decent chunk of damage to him. But like I say, just manage the poison. Don't get too greedy with some of his attacks, and just keep an eye on him standing still. Otherwise, he will lunge forward, grab you, and he will vomit down your throat, and it is not pleasant.